Hey, what's up guys? This is Boldbound Works, and in this video I'm going to be showing you a little hack for these Briggs Stratton V-twin flywheels. Now, the design on these flywheels is actually really annoying because they have a plastic ring gear here, which is what the starter motor Bendix gear engages into. See, here's the Bendix gear, here's the plastic ring gear. This one also has the plastic design. So it's a plastic starter motor gear, or Bendix gear, and a plastic ring gear. Now, what happens, especially on my kind of builds, like these racing mower builds and that I do, is sometimes you can get things like kickback or backfire, and over time, the more you start and you engage the Bendix gear, and every time you start it, this plastic gear on both the starter motor and the flywheel ring gear will just completely shear and just break. And eventually, you'll end up with something like this. Now, as you can see on the flywheel, see how at the top, it's kind of full, that's how it should be, and then it's completely like kind of chewed in on that bottom layer? That's because of me trying to repeatedly start and crank, and eventually it just wears it down. And it's the same on these plastic starter motor gears, because they also wear out. Now, one thing you can do, a little tip and trick, is you can buy a 15-tooth starter motor gear, which is designed for newer V-twins that also have a metal ring gear. Some of the 40N series and the 44N series have a metal ring gear, just like the Briggs singles do, like that one. And the one behind there, those have a metal ring gear, which in my opinion is a much smarter design because it doesn't ever shear out. But what you can do is you can temporarily, to fix it, the 15-tooth metal starter motor gear, if you can find just the Bendix replacement, you can pop this off and put that gear on, or just get a whole 15-tooth starter motor, you can replace it, but that won't really fix the problem because usually it might work for a little bit, but eventually that metal gear isn't going to break anymore, but it's just going to shear out even more this plastic ring gear. So I'm going to show you guys in this video a little hack to get around this and buy you a little more time, because these flywheels are really expensive. They're like $200 just to buy a new one. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you guys, and I'm just going to give you guys a little tutorial on what you can do to buy a little more life out of this flywheel. I'm going to be using this one as demonstration right here. So the first thing you're going to want to do is take a 1/2-inch socket on either a socket wrench or just an impact driver, and you're going to want to take off these two bolts to take off this plastic flywheel fan. That's 1 and 2. And save these bolts for later, and we'll just pull this fan off, and now it exposes the bare metal flywheel. Now, the next thing you're going to notice, if I bring the flywheel up close, is there's 1, 2, and 3 of these little metal nubs sticking up. And those go underneath to this one, and this one. And these are what's holding this plastic ring gear on. So what we're going to do is we're going to first start by hammering. You're going to have to whack them pretty hard in these areas to flatten them down and get them a little further out, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so I hammered that one, and as you can see, what you want it to look like is, see how that's come out a little bit there? We're going to repeat that for the other 2 more. Alright, and that's that one. Now for the last one. Okay. Alright, and now we're going to move on to the next step. Alright, now the next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take your angle grinder with a grinding disc, not a cutting disc, but a grinding disc, one of these kind of rough kind of filing discs. And I already got it plugged in behind there on that power strip. And I'm doing this indoors, but there's no reason to do it indoors. In fact, it's actually probably better to do it outdoors if you can. But I have the plug and the outlet in here, and I just didn't want to bring my extension cord all the way out. But yeah, this for now, this is kind of an outdoor building anyways, but this will work fine for now. And as always, when you angle grind, you always want to have eye protection and ear protection to protect your hearing and especially your eyes for debris flinging up. And also, ideally, long sleeve clothing, long pants and long shirts, you know, just to protect yourself from the sparks and things that could be flying off when you're doing this kind of thing. So what we're going to do is we're basically, when we hammered these little pins out, they actually flattened from the hammer. They kind of mushroomed. They were kind of originally poking up, and now they kind of just smushed outwards from the hammer. So they're actually not, no matter how much you hammer them, they're not going to go out anymore. And I've discovered that with this method. So what we're going to do is we're going to angle grind these so they're completely smooth, and then we're going to punch them out. And then we can proceed with the ring gear trick. So we're going to get started on that, and we're going to repeat it for all 3 of these sections. All right, and that is all of it. So I got to clean up this little dust here, but besides that, now one thing that I wanted to mention, when you're doing this, you may notice while I was cutting that I cut minorly into the, whatever this is, cast aluminum or whatever these flywheels are made of. I cut a little bit here and a little bit here, but you don't have to worry about that at all. It's sort of necessary for smoothing these areas out. You have to sort of cut into here just a little bit. But don't worry too much about that, because it's definitely not going to affect the performance of this flywheel on the engine itself at all, so you don't really have to worry about that. And this one over here, I didn't really have to cut into at all, because it has a wider kind of crevice here, whatever you call this little ditch in the metal casting of the flywheel. So anyways, now that those are all ground smooth, we can now move back outside for the next step. Alright, so I got everything wrapped up in the building, and I brought this back outside to do the next step. So if you look really carefully, typically if you've done this right and you've really smoothed these down, you're going to be able to see. I'm noticing it especially on this one. If you look at it really closely, it's probably pretty hard to see on the camera. Let me just see if I can focus that. But there is a tiny, see right there, there's a tiny kind of imprint of a dot right there, of a circle. That's where the pin actually is. Now because you angle ground it smooth, it's obviously going to be pretty smooth, but there's a part where you can sort of see where the pin is level with the actual rest of the metal. Now what you're going to want to do is take a hammer, like a regular nail hammer, like this one will work, and then a punch. This is a chain punch that's used for punching out like little links and chains and that, but it's actually very useful for any kind of punching out. It's got this little small tip, and then you can hammer on the top. And then you can also, if you don't have one of these, use a screwdriver with a pointy, thin tip. Now, you don't want to use something too thin, otherwise it might break. Like, if you use a drill bit, it might snap when you hammer it. But what we're going to do, I'm going to start with the most obvious one. You're going to kind of look for that spot, which we can see clearly in here. And I'll align the tip of that thing right in what looks to be roughly the center of that little circle area, and then we're going to just whack on it with the hammer until we see it dip lower than the surface, and that's how we'll know we got the right spot. And I can already see it dipping below. Yep, and that already went very far down, which is exactly what we wanted. So you can see, camera doesn't like to stay focused, you can see we got it down below, and the pin is coming out, which is great. So we're just going to repeat that on all the sections, on all 3, and then we'll have the ring gear off. So now, this thing is actually not long enough to go all the way through. So what I do is I just take something else. Like, for example, this actually was a broken screwdriver that I've been using as a pick. Will work perfectly. Just stick it in there, hit it, and that's it. It's stuck in the dirt, but there we go. That's our first pin. We'll set those aside because we are going to reuse them, and we'll repeat the same process for the rest of these. It's literally stuck in the dirt. Jeez. Oh, wow, that's ridiculous. Okay, now the last one. And boom. Stuck in there again. No. Oh, I don't want to get my hands that dirty. Should just use pliers. There we go. Now, all you're going to have to do now, you might have to hammer it a little bit, but first let's just see if we can pull it off by hand. Now we're going to need a pry tool, but you're basically just going to want to slip. You can use a flathead screwdriver or anything like it. Just get something in between the ring gear where the plastic is separated from the metal. Just going to kind of pry it, and work it in there. You can also use the hammer, because sometimes that helps to hammer it in. I'm going to try that here. That works great. We'll just pry. You can see it's separating. And we'll just go all the way along, because now that part is separated. And this thing is literally about to come off. Because these ring gears are only held on via those screws. Those little pins, I mean. Almost all the way around. Wiggle it around. Keep going round. And bam! Here it came. So now, here's what we're going to do. Here's the trick that you can use to save a lot of money and buy yourself some more time before you have to buy a new flywheel. So you can see if you look at it at this angle, there's that ditched in part. That's where it has been chewed off, and then this part is still perfectly fine. So I know that it looks different on both sides, but all you're going to do is just flip it around so that the side that's facing down, which would be the side when the flywheel's upright, they're closest to the bottom of the flywheel, which is the starter motor side. That's the side that it engages first. Just flip it around like that, and then you want to peer through those holes. We're going to hammer it on, but first we want to make sure it's all lined up on all the holes. Looks like it is, so we can just go around and hammer it down. And those are perfectly lined up. So all we have to do, this is the easiest part, just punch these back in. All the way in. And do the rest of them. Make sure you hammer them in, because you can always punch them back out, remember, when you need to. And bam, now the job is complete. Let's examine it. So, now if you look at what we've done, we've flipped it around, this whole ring gear, so that the chewed teeth are at the top, and the not chewed teeth are on the bottom. Now this is not a permanent fix. As I said earlier, it can definitely strip out again, but it can definitely buy you a little more time and get your mower going. Say you have an emergency or you need to get it going for some reason, or you're eager to get it going. Now the last thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to set this back on, and we can line these up and get them started. And we'll just use the same 1/2-inch socket from earlier. Go back to forward and screw these in. Bam. There you go. There's your fixed flywheel. Now, I'm not going to be showing you how to put it back on the V-twin, because if you've got it off, it's, you know, honestly, these things are pretty simple anyways, but if you're going to do this, you probably got it off already. But this, in case for your information, almost all these V-twins, not the singles, but the V-twins, these are a 1 1/4 socket, so 1 1/4-inch socket, and so you just put that on the impact. Take that off, then there's a little washer here, and then what I do to get these flywheels off, just because I might as well, since I'm talking about this, share the tip, is I take something like this, which is a big sledgehammer. I've tried with a little small regular hammer, like the ones I was using to put in and out those pins, and those don't really work. So you hold this with one hand. Obviously I'm holding the camera, but you hold it and you tap on that center thing. It's not going to strip the threads or anything because the threads are lower than this center thing, as you can see. And you're going to pull up at the same time with your other hands. So pull up, and then with your other hand, hammer down, and it'll just shake it loose. You know, the best option, if you have one, of course, is to use a flywheel puller. And those things, actually, you take these bolts directly off, and you just thread it in, and you can use an impactor, and it just goes grrr, and it lifts the flywheel because it uses the tension of these screws to kind of push it up, you know. But if you don't have one of those on these ones, because there's no threads directly at the top, you can hammer that fine. It won't strip or mushroom anything out. Well, it will mushroom this out, but that's perfectly fine because it doesn't really affect the, you know, nut or anything that goes on. And so yeah, once you got that off, then you can do this whole process that I explained and then put it back on, and it should start right back up just great. So thank you guys for watching this video, and I really hope these tips help you get your mower up and running again. If they did, or you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and leave a comment down below if you have any thoughts, and definitely go ahead and subscribe to my channel, as I really appreciate it and it helps me continue building my channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.